Super.
BS.
What up, my doodlies? We're back in black, ready to take some action, going on hardcore. It's me, your lovable baby boy, Brink, and I'm joined by...
Agent J, back in black also, Galaxy Defender.
Galaxy Defenders, yeah! I get to be the old guy then. I'll be the Tommy Lee Jones or the Josh Brolin of this.
There we
Did
go.
you watch? They did like a reboot, didn't they? Like international edition or something like that?
It was not good. It wasn't good. They
Didn't
tried.
look good.
They tried, and I appreciate that, but it just was not good.
You know what it reminded me of? That really terrible movie that I also never watched, but I will continue to make fun of, called, I think it's R.I.P.D., Rest in Peace Department or something like that.
Is that the one with Ryan Reynolds and Jeff
Ryan
Bridges?
Reynolds. Yes. Yeah, that looked like garbage. Did you watch it?
I did not watch it.
Okay, I was hoping our resident garbage expert over here, Agent J, would have gotten that. Well,
you know
guys,
what's funny is Men in Black was a moment in time. I don't think you'd ever like do that again and have it be good.
Yeah, I absolutely love 1, and I think 2 is decent. But after that, it's not so good. And I didn't mean to say it's not so good. It's not good. Period. Guys, the news is in. We have doubled our listenership. We're going to big time. So sorry if you hear all these ads. It's nonstop ads. Baby Brush Toothbrush. That's our main sponsor right now.
Baby Brush Toothpaste.
Yeah, Baby Brush Toothpaste. They heard. They were listening. They knew what you guys wanted. They had to jump on in. So if you hear a bunch of ads for Baby Brush Toothpaste, the #1 Baby Brush sponsor on our planet, just don't be surprised. Sorry, guys. This is sponsored content now. #love it. What do you have to say about that, Agent J? What's your favorite sponsored content that we're going to sponsor today?
You know what? Just the breaking bread baby food.
Breaking bread baby food. I love that one.
It's liquid bread for babies. You just kind of you shovel it into the baby's mouth, and then you put them
and
then you put them in the sun, and the bread actually bakes in their stomach, so they you only have to give them one spoonful. Yeah,
and they give you industrial sized shovels, so it's the right size. We know our listeners are primarily babies, so this is for you guys. Okay, if we do some goo goo gagas, we know what you're talking. You'll know what we're talking about. I mean. Anyways, let's get to some of the action. What have you been playing? What is the game that you've been playing? Because I got a lot. Just tell me one, and then I got to tell you a bunch.
All right. So I jumped into another game from Mega Cat Studios called Yazzie.
What type of dog shit is it? So just tell us.
No, it was actually... It's a lot of fun, man. I actually kind of think I like it better than Arceus Revolution, but it's... You are this like white domino thing with legs. Think about it's like a mixture of the old barrel throwing Donkey Kong, and Minecraft, and not Minecraft, but what are those? The digger game, Dig Dug.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And as a 2D platformer, so you have like these different levels, and you have to like dig around because you have to collect all this gold before these ghosts get you. So it's like Pac-Man also.
And
but
Donkey Kong's also there throwing barrels at you. It's really weird game.
Well, you have ladders you got to climb up and down, and platforms, and so I don't know what.
Did you ever play a game called Load Runner as a kid?
Yes.
It kind of sounds a little bit like that, where you're chasing, you're going up ladders, and you're trying to fill stuff in.
It is a little bit. It is a little bit, but for this one, you're just trying to collect gold bars, and as you get, like, I got to like the 20th level. So they keep adding more ghosts and more challenges. So like it takes, the first level starts out really easy. By the time you get to like the 10th level, you have so many obstacles. Like the screen becomes so busy. And so like there's one, it took me about 11 tries to beat, but it just felt so good to finish that level.
So I just got a question. What is Mega Cat's problem? Why do they keep making games for the now defunct Sega Genesis 20 to 30 years after it pretty much ended its life?
Well, they don't. I mean, they're like Sega style games. And they make them on cartridges, but you can also get them on modern consoles. Like you can get them on Xbox One and PlayStation and all that.
Do you have them on a cartridge, or how are you playing these?
I'm playing them on a cartridge just because that's when they asked if I could review them. They asked what I wanted, and I said cartridges because I like Sega. You know, I'm a fan of the Sega.
You already watched the Console Wars TV show. You sided with Sega. You love it.
I want to watch Console Wars. I haven't seen it yet.
I heard it's good.
Pretty good.
Oh, CBS All Access. Yeah, it's part of that ridiculous service. I don't even know what CBS All Access gets you besides Star Trek and Console Wars. But thank the Lord for the internet. I do not need to use them. I'm really interested in Console Wars as well. I think, and we got a lot to talk about in the news, I think the console war we're in right now is way crazier. But anyways, enough about Yazzie. I've been playing a lot of Hades. Really good.
Wait. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Hades. I've been playing a lot of Hades. I talked about it last week. A roguelite. I got to the 3rd floor out of 4. I've given a lot of gifts. I've been romancing some of the underworld spectral people, the catatonic gods. Yeah, I'm getting there. Okay.
Would that be considered necrophilia? Like, how does that work?
Not if you're all dead as well, man. That breaks the rules, okay? No, but it is a really great game. I've unlocked all the weapons. I've almost unlocked all the upgrades or all the upgrade paths. It is fun. I've kind of dropped off it a little bit in the last few days because each run is now 20 to 30 minutes, so it's kind of a little bit of a commitment if I'm going to play it. Another game so I want to talk about this one last. I've been playing a lot of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, but I'll talk about that last because I know you've been playing some of that as well. Anyways, what do you think of for N64 games when you think of Super Mario 64? Name another N64 that comes off the top of your head.
Bomberman.
Wrong. Try again. Another game exactly like Super Mario 64, N64.
Gex.
Get it right next time, okay? We don't have all day for this because this is I got to show you how my brain processes things.
Is this another Mario game?
No, it's another N64 platformer. When you think of Mario 64, you think of one other N64 platformer. Go.
Donkey Kong.
No, wrong. Wrong again. Try it one more time. Banjo-Kazooie. There we go. Okay. So right. I got a question. Okay, we're thinking Banjo-Kazooie. What company made Banjo-Kazooie?
Rare.
Okay. Who owns Rare?
Microsoft.
Okay. What game did Microsoft release a few years ago that has all the Rare games on it?
Rare Replay.
Okay. Now, what game in Rare Replay is also a kind of action-adventure platformer that was released the same day as the 360?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Damn you. Get it right this time.
Kameo.
Yes. So I've been playing some Kameo.
Did
boy,
you? That's
yeah.
You
that's,
went back. I mean, it's an old school game. It's fun.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. So I was thinking about Banjo. I replayed Banjo when it came out to 360. I really liked it, but I was like, I've never played Kameo. It's definitely old. It definitely shows its age. Like, it should have been released on like GameCube or Xbox, the original Xbox. Like I think it was supposed to be. I read it was in development for 4 console generations. That's how long they've been working on it. It was supposed to be a Pokemon style game. I like it. There's a lot I don't like about it. I don't like how there's less collecting. It seems like you just go to a world, find the bad guy, and then fight them. Then you get the next power and so on and so forth. It's not very good looking, but in a different world, I think that game could have been incredible. Like, I think there's a lot of neat things. Like, I think the transforming powers are a lot of fun. I think it's pretty cool. Did you play any of it?
I did, yes.
Really? How far did you get?
It's been a long time. I think I got like 6 hours into it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I've only played like an hour and a half. I just finished the tutorial. Was way too long. So I finished the tutorial and I'm walking around the world and I got 1 power up. 1 transformation.
Yeah, I think I honestly like it. I don't remember where I stopped, but I mean, I do remember getting stuck several times in that game just because like some of the gameplay elements aren't entirely clear.
Yeah.
So, it is a game I was considering going back to, but I mean, you're saying it doesn't hold up very well?
Yeah, there's just a lot of problems with it. I mean, they have too much clutter on the screen. There's like the score for every level, which you can shut off, thankfully, so I shut that off. The map is like a sixth of the screen, but you kind of need it. And it's not like some button you press. You know how like they changed it so there's no longer maps just on your screen at all time in games?
Yeah.
Like that's there. I mean, you need the transforming button still like up at the top because you can switch that out. So you kind of need to know who you're going to be. But it's just a lot of clutter, honestly. There's a lot of clutter and not a lot of great design. Everything feels bad. Like it feels honestly like an N64 game that just got beautified a lot of times, but didn't. Like got up-resed in a way. It still feels like that. Like Jet Force Gemini if it was made on 360 instead of N64.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I ended up on that for a little bit. That was fun. I just wanted to bring it up because I wasn't sure if you played it. And I do want to try the third Banjo game, the one where you make cars and stuff. I've played that like twice, and I fell off both times, but I've heard it's really fun if you get into it.
Is this on Games Pass? Is Rare Replay on Games Pass?
I think it is, but even if it isn't, it's like worth the $15 it costs or the $20. It's like 30 games or some nonsense like that. But if it's not on Games Pass, I definitely suggest it. It's a really cool collection. It's got tons of stuff. All three Banjo games, both of the Viva Pinata games, Kameo or whatever, Jet Force Gemini, Rare Replay, or Perfect Dark, both Perfect Dark games. Doesn't have Donkey Kong 64, which is a bummer because I'd love to play that, but obviously that's a Nintendo property. Now, here's how my mind also works. I was thinking about a movie I watched in China last night many years ago. Wasn't that great. Can't even remember what it's called now.
Did you watched a movie in China last night many years ago?
Okay, yeah, I want to rephrase that, but I want to get your brain at space. I was thinking about a movie I watched in China last night. So last night I was thinking about a movie I watched in China. There we go. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I don't know no English. So I was thinking about that. It was many years ago, and for some odd reason that clicked in my head. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, which I have on Xbox One because it takes place in Hong Kong. Did you ever play that game?
No, that is one I did not play.
That game is still great. It doesn't hold up perfectly because it was a janky game on the 360, but it is such a cool GTA-like. And the combat's fun, kind of like Batman. The driving's pretty good. But it takes place in Hong Kong, which is something you just don't get in any of those games. That is a series I wish they would have had a sequel for because that game is so ripe for making a better second version of it. But yeah, if you ever get a shot, you should play that. I think I picked it up for like $7 a bunch of years back on Xbox One, and it is great. I think you actually probably got it if you get your Xbox Gold games every month. You probably picked it up at some point because I want to say it was free like several years ago.
I'll check out my collection.
Yeah, man. But anyways, so I've been playing those games, just a little bit of Kameo and a little bit of Sleeping Dogs. But what I've really been playing hardcore is Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Now, I know you've been playing that as well, but when I get to the game that we've both been playing from it, we'll talk a lot more about it. I have played more Sunshine. That game is not good. Every time I play it, I want to play it less. I want to like stop playing it immediately. I've been playing more Galaxy. I still think it's overrated, but that is a lot of fun. And that first map is atrocious, but after that first map, it's great. It's awesome. But the real one I've been putting all the time into is Super Mario 64. Now, I know last week you said you died on King Bob-omb, the first boss in the first level of the game.
Can we tone it down just a little bit?
And I know you said, please, can I go to baby mode where Bob-omb falls off the cliff by himself? You asked that. You said, listeners.
Chucks himself.
Show me how to go to baby mode. Now, you don't want to check him off the mountain. That's how you lose. Did you ever beat him?
Yes, I did.
How much further are you?
I am just about to fight, or just about to go through the locked door for the first time. I got my 8 stars.
Oh man, you're so far.
I'm ready. I'm pushing. I'm breaking boundaries, man. I'm pushing doors open. I got stars. I'm ready.
How many weeks did that take you to get that far?
2 weeks.
Ask me how many stars I have. Just ask.
Hey, Brankypoo, how many stars
80!
you got?
80 stars. I could beat Bowser if I wanted to. Get on my level, Asian Shay,
So
okay?
8 stars, yeah.
8-0. I 10 times your score. So how are you liking it?
You know what I see when I look up at the sky at night, Agent K?
Yeah, what?
Stars. Branks stars.
Yeah, they are my stars. I own all of them now. I own all the stars. That's what you're missing. You have no stars.
Yeah. Do you know why the universe is still in danger? Because he won't fight Bowser.
I refuse to fight until I at least get 100 stars. That's how the game should have been. It should have been, oh, you can't fight until you get 100 stars, because that's how the game works. Have you been going for the 100 coins? Like, how have you been playing through the game? Been doing a few stars here or there? Have you been finishing one full level before you move on? Have you been doing the slide? What is your game plan for that game?
I have been, I don't know, I've just been exploring. I mean, one thing I guess another thing I don't like about the game is that anytime you get a star, it kicks you out of the level. So you can't just do them all at once. That was frustrating, because I get back and I'm like, I don't want to go back and do all that stuff again. So I'm going to go try something new, you know? So I haven't gone and done like levels twice yet, but you know
what's way worse than that even, and a bigger complaint is even after you die, it kicks you out of the level every time. So you have to re-enter the level if you ever die.
And restart,
that is just so dumb. That was dumb. The fact that your life is also how you swim. The only benefit of that is that coins like refill your air gauge essentially, but otherwise, like, they do that and then they hide stars in treasure chests where you have to get 4 in a row, right? And if you don't, you get zapped and get which also takes away from your life while you're also losing air.
The swimming mechanics in that game are infinitely frustrating because if you go, there's like levels where the camera is. If you go above it, the controls are regular, but if you go beneath the camera level, it goes to inverted. So there's like a point where you're literally just flopping up and down for a minute while you're trying to figure out what side of the camera you're on.
That is honestly the worst part of the game, is the camera. Like, that is, if there was one single issue with the game, one thing I would ask them to fix, it would be to give the player control of the camera. I understand they want a Lakitu to film you by running around and flying around, and it can only turn certain ways, but man, that is the worst part of that game, is the camera. I feel like that's the last boss. You're fighting that camera the entire game. It's like, move over, Bowser. The boss of the game is that Lakitu. You suck, Lakitu. No, that's really the hard part. But honestly, like, I would choose Mario 64 over the other two any day of the week. There's so much nostalgia. I've been actually doing 100 coins on a lot of the levels too. The ones that aren't like crazy frustrating, like. Do you remember the level called Dry Docks? Does that sound familiar? Yeah. That level sucks. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do 100 coins on that level. That level is trash. It is a trash fire and a half. It's just horrible. I can't stand it. What's your least favorite level in Mario 64?
Right now I'm not a huge fan of the What's the snow level where like the whole level's like a slide?
I think it's from Cold Mountain.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's it. Cold Mountain. Yeah. No. Yep. Cold Mountain. Because there's another snow level later on, if you remember.
Because I just like I finished it, but it sucked because like I lost a decent amount of lives on that just because I mistimed something. You know.
Yeah, that level is really frustrating. I don't think I did the 100 coins there, but I did all the stars. Every level I've done all the stars for the most part. I just haven't done all the 100 coins because, like I said, some levels are just miserable. That's one of the levels I think is just not fun to get 100 coins on, because you make one slip or one mistake, or you shoot the cannon wrong when you're at 80 coins, and it's like, oh, I can't get the ones with the red coins or whatever, so I'm done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, though, what's your favorite level in the game?
So I don't have a favorite level.
Really?
I'm not like I like the game a lot, but it's not something that like I am dying to play all the time. You know, I have good memories playing it, but I don't have good enough memories. Like Odyssey, I love just about every part about that game, but like with this, it's all equally frustrating to me.
So for me, just based on nostalgia, the first and second levels, Bob-omb Battlefield and Thwomp's Fortress are like some of my favorites. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. This will be like my fourth playthrough, and I did do 120 stars as a kid. So like I love it. Like I will probably get most of the stars in the game. There's some levels like Rainbow Ride that blow. That I don't know how many of the stars I'll get, because that one's really easy to be frustrated. Like, oh, a fire cannon shoots you while you're on the stupid magic carpet and you fall off and die, and then you have to restart from the bottom of the level. Yeah, Mario Odyssey's a better game, but it's modern. You know, this is like incredible for being a game from 1996. Like, it's just astonishing. Anything else that you've been playing this week?
Nope. I think that's it.
Well, no worries. We're going to talk about October this month, and you will have a lot of time to do your backlog. We'll get into the month of games and a bunch of other stuff right after this. Super BS. Now we are back. We're here for the news first before we get into the gaming. TGS happened this last week. Do you follow it at all?
No, I didn't. I heard something was announced, but now I can't remember what it was.
It was Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires. How could you forget that, you idiot? No, it's on everything.
The Resident Evil 8 news that it's going to be like a more open world type game. That's what I remember reading about it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that, and then I think the bigger news is that Resident Evil 8 is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. So it's not actually going to be next-gen exclusive. So
that's funny. Didn't Sony toted that as they label it as a PlayStation 5 exclusive when it first premiered during their conference, didn't they?
No, they didn't. They didn't say it was an exclusive, but they put it in the PS5 showcase, the first one, but that was one of the games where everybody's like, oh, it's probably coming to Xbox as well. The more interesting news is that it's coming to, I guess, what will be last gen when it comes out, but I think it's coming out early next year, so I guess that's not that big of a deal, since it sounds like Xbox One and PS4 are going to carry into at least well into next year before we start seeing them not supported. Otherwise, TGS was kind of a bummer, dude. There was like that Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, which I've never played. It's like the strategy version of the Dynasty Warriors games, come to everything. There's some Hyrule Warriors stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say they showed some Hyrule Warriors stuff. I mean, what I like, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of like the last Hyrule Warriors game, but
no, it wasn't good.
What I like about this is that it has the art style of Breath of the Wild, and like I think that alone makes me want to play it.
Yeah, I want to be excited because I loved Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3 as a kid, and I would say even up to 4. It was like an incredible series. It was so much fun. But I tried, I want to say 7 or 8 on 360, and it was not fun at all. It's very segmented. You go into a room, you kill all the guys in the room, you go to the next room. 2, it was either 2 or 3, had a very open approach where you could ride around the battlefield to find areas where you'd fight guys. And I know 9 was actually an open world game, but I'd heard such bad things about it, I never even gave it a shot.
So I played a few on the 360. I do remember specifically I have Dynasty Warriors Gundam Versus or Gundam Strike. I can't remember which one it is, but I remember that game's a lot of fun. Did you ever play 99 Nights though on the Xbox 360?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, but no, I never tried it out. Is it that style game?
Yeah, it's a Dynasty. It was inspired by Dynasty Warriors, but I remember what I didn't like about it was that like, yeah, it's cool. You're hitting all these you can hit 20 people at once and send them flying, but like the one thing that always bothered me about those games is like there's a severe lack of narrative in them, and so it almost makes what you're doing feel pointless.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's just so much about that series that I find fascinating now, as having lived in China and a bunch of other things. It takes place about the Three Kingdoms, a famous historical thing from China. It's made by a Japanese company, Tecmo Koei, which, you know, their history isn't good together. The games itself are really, really fun when games were very arcadey, when we didn't have a lot that you could do in a game. It was really impressive, you know, back when it's like, oh, I can move a character. Those games were like, whoa, that's really, really fun. And I don't know if you knew this, but the original Dynasty Warriors was actually a fighting game, a 1v1 just fighting game.
Dang.
Yeah, but yeah, man, they now just make everything, and they make it the same way every time, and the only difference is the enemies are different and the characters you play as are different. It's either, you know, I don't think they've done Star Wars, but it's either Zelda or Fire Emblem or Dynasty Warriors or some Japanese ninja game. And that gameplay style just gets old. I mean, I can maybe play one of those every few years for like a couple hours, but I don't want to play it longer than that.
Yeah, it loses its novelty after even just like a few minutes of it. It starts to kind of fizzle out, you know?
Yeah, and anyways, it came like, I guess this was big news, but TGS as a whole just blew, man. I guess the largest info besides the Tecmo Koei drop, which was the Hyrule Warriors and Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, was the Nier Replicant, the original Nier game. Nier
Automata. I saw. Yeah, I saw that.
It's coming to the West, I want to say in April, if not spring. I think it's April 2021. It's a PS4 and Xbox One game. So it's not next.
So it never made it to Western Shores? Is that what you're saying?
So this like remake of the original that was Japanese exclusive did not make it to the Western Shore. We got a different game called Nier
Automata, right?
No, Nier Automata came to PS4 and then to Xbox and stuff later. Nier, I want to say our game was just called, the one that came here was called Nier, just Nier. It's like a big burly dude on the front and a little girl. That game is not the original Nier game. The original Nier game was called Nier, I think it was just called Nier as well, but Nier Gestalt? Oh, never mind. The game that we got is called Nier Gestalt, but it was titled Nier in the West. But there was actually an original Nier game that we're getting now called Nier Replicant that only came to the PS3 in Japan. Weird stuff. Anyways, everybody loves Nier now because Nier Automata was really great. Or Nier Automata. I don't actually really know how it's pronounced. And so that'll be neat. But it is kind of strange again. It's coming in April, coming to the previous generation consoles. You obviously would be able to play it on, PS5 and Xbox Series X, but it's not made for them.
You know what's really like, I guess, comforting in a way is that like after like the total debacle of like these console pre-orders, that people are still supporting last generation games. Like there are still some things coming out, and that kind of makes me feel good.
Yeah, I think I want to finish up the TGS stuff before we get into that.
Yeah,
man, I totally agree that it's nice knowing that because you and I both didn't get a pre-order, and I only know like 2 people who got pre-orders total for either one. One person got a PS5 and one person got an Xbox Series X. It is nice to know you kind of don't need them, honestly. Like, you're going to be playing the gimped version, but if you buy it, it will work on the next one whenever you do get it, Yeah. And it might not even be that bad of a version because it's probably designed for the Xbox One and the PS4. It's probably just coming to the next generation consoles.
Are they... Can you... Okay, I mean, I'll ask you this when we get there, but I mean, can you play... If you buy the Xbox One X game physical, can you play it on your Xbox One?
Oh, you mean on your Xbox Series X? Sorry,
no.
You asked Xbox One X and Xbox One.
Sorry. If you buy the Xbox Series X physical game, can you play it on the Xbox One? Because I know they did that with the Xbox One 360 mixes of like the Elder Scroll games.
I don't know that yet, but there's no games that are exclusive to Series X yet. So I don't think we'll know till that happens. So if you buy the Series X version, it's the same. I think it comes in the same box. Most of them say Xbox One, Xbox Series X.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing from the models. That's why I was curious about it.
Yeah, so I don't know when that will change. I don't know who's the first third party is going to be. They'll be like, no, you either buy an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X game, and then if you want to upgrade, you have to pay some money. But yeah, I honestly don't know. We're going to find that out like kind of probably pretty soon here. But the last piece of news from TGS, and this is not a doozy, but it is kind of important, was Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition was announced at the PS5 showcase that just happened this month in September. We're recording this in September. It will air the last day of September. But yeah, it had like the playable Virgil, the new character, right? For Devil May Cry 5. Well, that character's coming to PS4 and Xbox One as just paid DLC. So you don't need to buy the special edition.
So that was announced. what is different about the game? Is it more story or is it literally just a character?
I assume it's just a character, but I don't know a ton about the game. I don't want to don't quote me on it, but The good news is if you're like one of the people that's like, oh, I couldn't get a PS5 pre-order, but I really want to play Devil May Cry. Hey, if you've got it on PS4, just pay for the DLC. You're good.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not losing anything. Maybe some graphical fidelity, maybe some frame rate, but that's what you were playing DMC5 at anyways. You know, it's not like it's going to be worse. It's just not going to be better than the next gen.
Yeah.
But anyways, now that TGS is done, the big kind of news is really about these next generation consoles. Yeah, they kind of blundered it. Like, you can't buy them. Like, they're impossible to find everywhere. They just didn't make enough.
Do you know what really kind of makes me mad about this whole situation is that, like, there are so many of those pre-orders went to people, like, scalping them on the internet, you know? And I know we talked about this, but I mean, I understand from your perspective, but I mean, like, it's just... It makes me upset that, like, you go to eBay, as soon as the Xbox One X pre-orders went up, there's, like, thousands of pre-orders, people selling their pre-orders on eBay. Like, it kind of ruins it for the people who actually want to play, you know? Like, it's...
Oh, I am there with you in spirit. Here's the thing. I am also realistic, and I know the world we live in, and the fact is there's a lot of people who lost their jobs. You know, we've talked about that a couple times on this podcast. Scalping, this is probably going to give some people enough money to buy Christmas gifts or pay their rent or whatever. Do I think it's right? No. Do I want it to be the case? No. It's Microsoft and Sony's deal thing. They need to make the pre-orders available so people can purchase it. But if some sultan or whoever deigns that the consoles are worth $1,700 for a $500 console, I don't blame that person for making money. Now, I know that's really an unpopular opinion, but, like, that is Microsoft's and Sony's fault. They did not make enough. And you'd be like, well, the scalpers would buy all of them. Yeah, man, but, like, I don't know. If it were me and I had a pre-order right now and it was going for $1,700, man, that's almost my rent. I think I'd have to sell and just wait. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's three times the console.
Yeah, I get it. I get you. I just, like, I don't know, like, there are people like, you know, like myself who genuinely want one to play it.
Oh,
like,
I would love one too.
To own it. Yeah, but I couldn't get one. And here's the thing, like, I went on, I didn't make any effort to get a PlayStation, but when the Xbox pre-orders went up, I went to my, I logged on, got in line, and the websites were all so laggy. And
it's because there were too many people on them.
Would not load, and so by the time it finally did load, I had my next class come in, so I had to log off. I didn't even get a chance to get this thing because the website wouldn't let me into it, despite the fact that it was actually in my shopping cart. You know,
no,
it's
I totally agree with you, and I would love one to play as well. I'm just telling you that if I had a pre-order right now and somebody's like, I'll give you $1,600 for that, it's like, oh, I could buy the Xbox Series X and pay a third of my rent. I'll do that. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I
like,
get that. I just like.
I think it's Microsoft and Sony's fault for only making, a couple million of them when it's like, hey, this shouldn't be as popular as it is. These are crazy expensive consoles, but they are. People only have time right now when they're at home. There's not as much to do outside. There's no more international travel, at least for the time being. There's none of these other things. So people are spending their money on video games. That's the truth.
Yeah.
You're not going to the movies. You're not really eating out very often. What do you have money for,
Yeah, my hope here is that, like, there are some available at launch, just because
if you're patient, you'll get it.
Yeah, it would be a shame to have all these consoles come out and nobody can afford them because everybody's selling them for $1,800 online.
I 100% agree with you. And I think if you're patient, you will get it. I think that's the biggest takeaway from all of these things. And yes, there are hilarious things like, I don't know if you saw, but Xbox One X's went up like 500% or something because a lot of these scalpers use scripts that get them these consoles. And those scripts probably couldn't recognize the difference between the two, Series X and Xbox One X. So, and there's probably some idiots also who just bought it, and no offense if you're listening, but who just bought an Xbox One X not knowing the difference between Series X, and because the naming convention is really confusing. Xbox One X is going out of print, so the confusion won't be there for very long. But, anyways, Yeah, man, I'm there with you. I wanted an Analog Pocket as well. That really cool console we talked about several months ago. And I think it was August was when the pre-orders went up. I would love it. I would love to buy one and play one. But if I could get one for $200 and someone was like, I'll give you $900 for that. That's when it comes down to like, what's money worth to people, you know? And video games are a weird space. You know, I've seen people
I guess there's...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I guess like there's a difference between being intentional about it and then being like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I have this and someone's saying they'll give me this money for it, then yeah. But I mean, I think the people who get it and then immediately put it up on eBay, like I think that's intentional, and it's kind of I don't know, it ruins it for me, you know, it for somebody who genuinely wants it.
I totally understand how you feel. I think for this whole scenario, my big takeaway for people is be patient. You'll get the thing at the price you want. If you don't get it day one, you're not missing out anything on this console launch. If you're the only game as of right now that you cannot play if you do not buy it right at launch is Demon's Souls and like some PlayStation Destruction All-Star whatever, right? There's like 2 games that you cannot play. Otherwise, man, like I would love to have one as well. I'd love to have an Analog Pocket as well. But like, if you're telling me that like, and this may not be the case, but if you're telling me that these people got up early and they lost their jobs or whatever the case is, or maybe they just do this for extra money, and there's some sultan who's going to give them $1,800 for these consoles, I can't blame them, man. Like, we live in a really weird world for money. What you and I consider like expensive $500, that's nothing for a lot of people. Like, I'll never forget when I first learned about Twitch, reading that one of the biggest tips on Twitch was a guy just tipped this dude playing World of Warcraft $14,000. Like, that's insane. That should be the definition of insanity is, oh, I'm going to give this guy $14,000 because he's playing World of Warcraft today, and I like that. You know?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? Hopefully everybody listening, hopefully we all agree that's insane. But the fact is we live in a very big world full of huge wealth inequality of all levels. And like, that's a different problem of its own, but I'm not going to come down on somebody who it's like, this might be the way they pay for Christmas for their kids. This might be the way that they get another month. I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to come down on scalpers. I've seen the light, and the light is, hey, Microsoft and Sony, you're a multi-billion-dollar company or whatever. I'm sure they're in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Make more consoles. Nintendo does this all the time. Forced obscurity is dumb. It doesn't benefit these people outside of like YOLOing, wanting life, FOMOing, all that garbage. And if that's what they're trying to do, then don't support them, if everybody's offended by it. But anyways, that's my take. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, I see where you're coming from. I don't like necessarily agree with it, but
yeah,
I just like, I would hope that they do have enough of these at launch for the people who actually want them, who actually would like.
I hope so too.
Or get, if you're a parent and you want to get one for your kid for Christmas, like I would hope that they're available, and that way we're not, it's not like a housing market, where there's a bunch of really nice houses but nobody can afford to buy them.
I totally agree, but man, this is such a bigger problem. I don't even really want to get into it too much here, but like, that isn't the fault of the person who bought to sell. Like, that is the fault of the company. I'll never forget this, right? Like, I wanted to get Fire Emblem Fates. Do you remember that game? Came out on 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the sequel to Fire Emblem Awakening. They had a special edition of the game that was $80 and carried both of the game cartridges you'd need as well as the special DLC. The only other way to buy it would be to pay $40 for each of the games, which would make it $80, and then $20 for the DLC, which is $100. Nintendo, for some odd reason, only made like 1,000 of these copies. So they immediately went out of sale. You could not buy them. You can't get them anywhere. What I don't understand when it comes to these companies is Nintendo doesn't gain any money from this scalping. Why don't they make more copies if something sells? The only thing I can get is that they want to build demand. They want to have less supply than they actually have, or less supply than people want. They want the demand to outreach the supply so they never lose money. And if that's their case, like, yeah, if this were a different year and we weren't in a place where like it's illegal for a lot of people to work, I would probably be more on your side because I've come down on scalpers a lot in the past, even as somebody who's done it before for funsies. And I've never like charged that much. I normally use it to like help me pay for a console. I bought a few Switches and sold them for like an $80 markup so I could pay for my own Switch. But even as somebody who's done it in the past, like I would have come down on it a little bit more if it wasn't illegal for so many people to work right now. But it's literally illegal for myself and a lot of other people to go to work. So I cannot blame someone for trying to figure out a way they're going to pay their rent. And the fact that a bunch of people have infinite money that, you know, they're not worried about this stuff, I can't care for the other side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like I see where you're coming from. I don't agree with it, but
totally.
You know,
I mean, it's fair.
I get it. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, Microsoft, Sony, huge debacle. We'll see how this ends up playing out. Like, you know, I think most people are in your camp. Very few people are going to come on the side of the scalpers. This is probably the only podcast historically, and, you know, we'll probably lose our subscribers just because of that viewpoint. But, you know, at least Agent J doesn't agree with me, so you guys have some backup here. The other crazy news that came out recently about this same thing was the Xbox Series X expandable storage. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's like $250 or something, right? Somewhere around there.
$220 for 1 terabyte. The crazier news is that people did some like research, and I guess the PlayStation 5 storage that will most likely be supported, it's like PCI NVMe storage, is about $240 as well, and that's for like a non, what's that word that I'm looking at? It's not specific to PlayStation. This is specific to Microsoft. It's Microsoft branded. It's proprietary, but it's gone through Seagate. Microsoft did say they would open it to more companies. So, you know, Western Digital, other people will make it. Hopefully it will lower the cost. But Sony hasn't announced their expandable storage at all anyways. These consoles, I mean, what do you think a game like takes up hard drive space nowadays? Just a single player game. What do you think?
I mean, depending on what kind it is, I'd say anywhere
open world.
From like probably I would say 60 to 80 gigabytes.
That's kind of fair. Most open world games like Red Dead run about 100 to 120. So these consoles are coming in at 1 terabyte for the Series X, which will probably only be 900 to 950 usable storage because they're going to have to use some for the memory, system, OS, things like that. And the PlayStation 5 is coming in at 800 and I want to say 850 or 875 usable storage. So we're talking like 6 games is what you're going to be able to play on some of these things.
Well,
maybe
that's
7.
What I'm historically, like my PlayStation games have always taken up more space than my Xbox games have. So I always have to delete things off the PS4 before I'm able to.
That's like system architecture stuff. It's hopefully they fixed it because the PS4 was really bad about that stuff. You had to like copy the entire game over, which would take space before, like, okay, for example, for an update, right? Microsoft Works updates this way where the update just takes the required space. PlayStation normally re-downloads the entire game with the update before deleting the previous thing. So you have to have double the space before you can even do that. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff there. $220 is a lot of money, man. I mean, we're talking if you are like an enthusiast, you're looking at spending like at least $1,000 this holiday, minimum, for a Series X, expandable storage, a controller, even though you don't need them because your controllers will work, but we're talking about the people who want to spend this money anyways, and then a couple games. It is insane, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
Console gaming is getting really, really expensive real fast. Some other news, Phil Spencer said that Nintendo, that Microsoft was going to continue making dedicated consoles in the future. Did you read that?
I did, yeah. I mean,
cool.
I like consoles. You know, I don't.
Same, love them.
I don't. I mean, that's like when Mike 343 announced, right, that Halo Infinite was going to be like the platform for all Halo games going forward. Like, I like having physical things. Yeah,
I like having hardware. I shouldn't say physical things because I don't own any games anymore. I only own digital stuff. But the hardware I like because I had an argument with a friend on the phone the other day. PC is still it's where I do work, and I have a Mac, which isn't good to run PC games anyways. And PC has always been an enthusiast's mode of play, or it's if you want to fiddle with settings to get the game to run properly and shutting off this and turning on that. That's most people just want to like play a game. Turn on the console, it works. Play the game.
Yeah. Well, it's out of a lot of people's price range too. You know, even you're saying $1,000 buy a new console this holiday season. a PC is still, double or triple that if you want a decent one.
If you want like a top of the line, you're looking at $1,200 at the minimum. I mean, you're talking about something that might last a little bit longer with higher specs, but I don't even know. The Series X and the PS5 are so powerful. Maybe the spec rating would be the same at $1,200. I definitely agree that console gaming is cheaper in the end, in like the grand scheme of things. I think it is cheaper. People will be like, well, PC games are always on sale quicker. Yeah, but if you're going to buy the game right at launch anyways, it's still going to be $60-$70. You're not going to save any money on the games if you want to stay up to date. But yeah, man, the other Xbox news, and this comes courtesy of Dr. Donna, which I found online right before we talked about, but we did end up spending a lot of time talking about, is the rumor that Microsoft is not done acquiring studios. We talked about this, I think last episode was the Bethesda acquisition. So have you read about this rumor or no?
I have not read about it. I've been thinking, ever since we talked about it, I've been trying to like think of who else is out there that they would buy up. That would be like big news.
The rumor is,
off the top of my head,
you want to take a guess before I give it away, or the rumor at least? It's a biggie. I'll tell you that. It's Japanese. Nope. The rumor is that they are going to be buying Sega. And there's like a bunch of like coded stuff. Who knows? Microsoft helped build the Dreamcast. There's a lot of weird stuff that's relationally with them. It would give them ownership to Atlas, which makes the Persona games, which have been PlayStation exclusive thus far. Yeah.
Would that make... So 2 questions here. One, would that make Sonic a Microsoft mascot?
Him and Master Chief, bro. We get the blue chief, man. He's got to go fast.
Second, that would really just smolder any of those rumors that have been floating around for years now that Sega might come out with a new console eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I think those rumors are bunk. Sega's games don't make enough money for them to personally start again from scratch, and I don't think they'd want to enter this landscape because it's so expensive to get in. And Microsoft's a biggie, dude. They're throwing their weight around this time. I find it really interesting. I both am excited for them because Microsoft has no presence in Japan. So if this rumor comes true, it would give them a huge foothold. Sega was the land of Japan. Same with Nintendo, but it's a huge company in Japan still. But there's the scary part of monopolies and acquisitions becoming the common thing, and there only being a few companies left. Yeah, that's the scary part. But as the side of me that is a big fan of Games Pass and wants to see people lay off Microsoft and people accept them for being a good console, I would like to see the acquisition take place. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of scary parts of that. Same when Disney bought Fox. That's actually scarier than it is good. But, you still get the goods of Wolverine potentially joining the Avengers, Same thing here. We might get Microsoft to get their back end into Japan, which they really need at some point.
What's funny about this is that Microsoft is making it so Sony has very little to work with in its wheelhouse, outside of their first party games, and the people who are always willing to get in bed with them, Square.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
The news too is that Final Fantasy 16 will be coming to other consoles in a year potentially PC in 6 months. But that's a rumor again. There's a lot of stuff. Sony doesn't like to tell people things that will potentially persuade them not to buy their stuff immediately. It's a fair point. I totally understand, but it does get frustrating when you're like, are they honest? Because they lie all the time. And they don't, or I shouldn't say they lie. They are not upfront all the time. Yeah, man, I think we're just beginning to see what could be a very crazy console war. People always talk about Sega and Nintendo in the 90s. I think this one is much bigger.
There's going to be documentaries about this. It's going to be insane.
Because, the money being thrown around right now, Microsoft's $7.5 billion acquisition, that will go place through next year. If they buy another company like Sega, that's multi-billion as well. So we'll see, man. This is a weird time. But the one good thing about this time is if you have old games, it's going to be a great time to play them because we want to go over the games coming out in October. That is the topic today. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. It's good to know.
Yeah, the day after you listen to this will be October 1st, 2020, because you're listening to this day one. I know you guys. You are babies. You have your baby toothbrush, toothpaste, and you also eat your baby bread, and you got your shovels, and you play old games because October sucks, and you listen to this podcast day one. Okay, let's get on to this, though. Before we begin, I've got a quiz that is... It's mainly going to be at the end of this, and it's about games coming out in October. But I have one question I'm going to ask before I tell you the games coming out in October.
Sonic.
This is a quiz for you. Which of these games is coming out in October 2020? Is it Gears Tactics? Is it Demon's Souls? Is it World of Warcraft Shadowlands? Or is it Spelunky 2? You got
Gears Tactics, Demon's Souls, Spelunky 2. What was the other one?
World of Warcraft Shadowlands. Dun, dun,
World of Warcraft Shadowlands.
That's the game coming out in October 2020?
Yeah.
You are correct. Finally, we got
it.
You beat your average last time of 0. You are up right now. 1 out of 5. The rest of these we will talk about at the end, but I just wanted to ask you that. World of Warcraft Shadowlands is coming out in October. I am not excited to play it, but that is probably one of the bigger titles. So before we get into the main titles, I'll just talk about some interesting stuff. There's a game called Ghost Runner, an indie game that comes out October 27th. It's coming out to PC, PS4, Xbox. There's a game called Eichenfell, another indie game. It comes out in like the early part of October, coming to Switch, PS4, Xbox, like an RPG style game. There's the Super Mario Brothers 35 that we learned about, that like battle royale Mario title where you play as 35 Marios running around the screen, kind of like Tetris 99. That comes out to Nintendo Switch Online for free October 1st. And then there's going to be some Doom Eternal DLC, which comes out October 20th. And by the way, Doom Eternal is coming to Games Pass on October 1st. So if you didn't buy it, you don't need to. They own Bethesda. It's coming to Games Pass pretty much the day after you listen to this. But let's kick off the month with the biggies. Star Wars Squadrons coming to PS4 and Xbox, $40 October 2nd. Are you going to be buying this bad boy?
I've been debating it. I'm not a huge fan of like flight sim games.
You'll love it then. That's what the game is.
I don't know. I remember playing like Rebel Assault on PlayStation, and it was not my favorite. I don't know. I might.
Did you like Rogue Squadron?
I did like Rogue Squadron. I think they're doing a pretty good job with like these newer Star Wars games. So I might pick it up. I might give it a try.
It's cheap. It's $40. I still don't think I'm going to get it unless the reviews are like praising it unanimously. Then we got Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time. Just coming to PS4 and Xbox as well. It is $60. It is also coming out October 2nd. Our resident Crash expert, Agent J, what do you feel about that?
Like I said before, I want it, but I don't know if I want it at $60.
You want it, you got to have it. I know you're going to pay the $60 for it, and you're going to love it. One of the only games that I may get coming out in October, Watch Dogs Legion. And I'll definitely get it, but I don't know if I'm getting it at launch. It's pretty much coming to everything but Switch, October 29th, $60. You feeling getting that day one, or what's your ideas of that?
I'm going to pick it up, but I'll probably wait until Thanksgiving break or sometime or Christmas break, because I honestly don't have a time to play a game of that magnitude right now.
Too busy trying to beat King Big Bob-omb, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's
chucking him around the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stop throwing him off the mountain, okay? You can't beat him that way. Should have learned that already. Okay, the big Nintendo release for the fall. I guess they have Hyrule Warriors coming out after it. Otherwise, this is kind of it. Pikmin 3 Deluxe. It's coming to Switch, $60, October 30th. It was a Wii U game. Are you going to buy that bad boy? You going to play some Pikmin?
No.
Really? Did you ever play Pikmin 1 or 2?
I didn't. I just I know people who have enjoyed it. It's just not something that's ever been on my radar.
Yeah, I would like to get it. I think $60 is way too high for a game that I think I got for free with my Wii U. We'll see. I'll probably pick it up at some point, but I don't know. And it's one of those things, if I don't get it at launch, maybe I won't ever pick it up. The final game, and I don't even know if it's worth mentioning because I don't think either of us are going to play it, but it's kind of like a AA title, The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope, coming to PC, Xbox, and PS4 October 30th.
Isn't that the sequel to that Man of Meridian
Man of
game?
Medan, yeah, that was last year.
Yeah.
I think that studio wanted to come out with a game every 3 months or every 4 months. I can't remember, but they did not do that because it's been a year. Yeah, man, I don't know. I never even played their famous game Until Dawn. I have it on my PlayStation. Paid $5 for it, I want to say, or something like that. I Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big horror games fan unless it's Resident Evil, so probably skipping it. Any other October titles that you're interested in? I could bring up a full list, but I feel like those are kind of the main ones worth mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, those are all the ones that I have really dug into. I don't think there's anything else I'm really concerned with right now.
You're mainly a World of Warcraft Shadowlands type of guy. I know you, so that's
that's
your game, man. It's your game for your people. Okay, let's do this quiz today. And I probably am going to not do a quiz next week because I've been quizzing you hard for the last few weeks. This is a quiz about October releases. So start picking your brain, you buffoon, because you got to beat your score. Well, actually, you already beat your score. You got 1 out of 1 so far. Second question. Which of these games came out in October 2019? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion 3, or Just Dance?
It was Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, hooray! And it's not Luigi's Mountain. It's Luigi's Mansion 3, but you got it.
Luigi's Mansion, sorry.
And Luigi's Mansion 3. Yeah, man, you're 2 for 2 right now. I wonder if this is going to be your first hundo. Which of these consoles released in October? Was it the Game Boy Color, the Wii U, the 3DO, or the Sega Genesis?
Jeez.
Easy
I know
questions.
it wasn't.
Get your batting average up.
Sega?
No. Bong, 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 bong,
I know it's not the Wii. It's not the Wii because the Wii came out in November.
Yep. It was Wii U. It was what I said anyways. But yeah, it wasn't the Wii or the Wii U. It is the 3DO. That was a tricky one. I was thinking maybe you'd get it just because I put 3DO in there and you're like, nobody ever thinks about the 3DO. But yet, I was trying to see, not many consoles have ever come out in October. Okay, man, here we go for question 5. Is this 5 already? That can't be. Oh, it's just 4. Which of these Nintendo 64 games released in October of 1996? Is it Super Mario 64? Is it Pilot Wings 64? Is it Mortal Kombat Trilogy? Or is it Wave Race 64?
Pilot Wings.
I am sorry. Bong, 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 bong. It was Mortal Kombat Trilogy. That released October 1996. Pilot Wings and Mario 64 were both launch titles in September, and Wave Race did not come out till November. Which of these Nintendo 64 games, because I've been playing Mario 64, so I got to do N64 questions, did not release in October of 1996? Was it Cruisin' USA? Was it Star Wars Shadows of the Empire? Was it Blast Corps? Or was it Killer Instinct Gold?
Killer Instinct Gold.
Bong, 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 bong.
I didn't own a Nintendo 64 as a kid.
Wait, what?
So these are all.
Serious?
Yeah, I didn't own one when I was. Yeah, I went from Sega to PlayStation.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, so it was Blast Corps, but I thought you were an N64 child, so I thought this was going to be cake for you. Anyways, you got, what is it? 2 out of 5. So we are moving up the chains, man. I'm seeing a big improvement in you. You're when I write your report card for your parents, I'm going to put most improved on there, okay?
There we go. Put it on the fridge.
Yeah, and I hope you are passing your students at a 2 out of 5 now, because that's the that's the level I want to see you judge them by. You're not taking my quizzes seriously. They're not going to take your quizzes seriously. I know all your students are listening to this. I know their favorite bands are Baby Brush Toothpaste, and I know they love Baby Breaking Bread. And you know that they're listening right now, and they're like, oh, man, my teacher doesn't know how to take a quiz properly. I don't have to take quizzes anymore. And that's correct.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works, okay, students? Yeah. Stop listening to him. Start believing in yourself and teaching yourself, okay? To your own self, be true. Stop listening to this teacher of yours.
Such anarchy.
Anything you want to add before we hit the road? Before we walk the old dusty trail?
I don't think so.
We got to get some guests on here, man. Get some more voices. Spread the word. Spread the love. Spread the noise.
Spread the love, man.
But don't listen to us on anything. Listen to us in your hearts, okay? That's where I want all of our listens to come through. And then find a way for us to tally that. Do like a heart test or something. Yeah, okay. We will be back next week. Peace.
Late.